you ever tried using ad blocker?
on this constantly?
Yeah.
I mean, I did. That's what's going on. I mean, this is CBR with ad blocker on it. Are you kidding me? All righty, let's see.
No. So I'm gonna guess that there's no Tom King books on this list.
Oh, no, none of the modern day books are going to be here. The modern day books are freaking awesome. So
are these just 10 DC books? So, 10 DC characters that were killed by their books or killed in the story?
Well, yeah. They are supposed to be have destroyed the characters. So it says DC Comics has been putting out blah 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 yada yada. However, not every story is meant to build a character up. Stories like Death of Superman tear characters down, destroying them so they could grow in new ways. Of course, other books like, okay, hold on, we just got to get to it. Number 10 in ruining the character. Number 10 in destroying the character is John Byrne's Superman. Yeah, okay, let me read this off, and then I'm going to let Venkman go first on this one. It says, DC has made plenty of mistakes with Superman, and the character's long existence. The post-crisis Superman reboot of Man of Steel by artist-writer John Byrne. Byrne restarted the Superman mythos and made some changes to the character that removed much of what made Superman comics good. Man of Steel was popular at the time of its release, but readers have started looking at it different in recent years. No, they haven't. On top of Byrne's changes, some of the stories are nonsensical. Why did Batman and Superman team up against a penny-ante villain like Magpie? Why make Batman and Superman so antagonistic? Why make Bizarro into a Superman clone? Why make Kryptonians into Star Trek Vulcans without Pon farr? Byrne made so many choices that actively hurt the Superman mythos. By the way, one thing we all know is, in fact, that Venkman is a huge fan of the Byrne run of Superman. Dude, go.
I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people who prefer it because he made the character actually great. He focuses on
yes, he did
him being so basically readers got to identify with the character. He has Earth parents. He went to them when he had issues, he had problems. He had struggles. Dear God, the person who wrote this article is needs to go back to education camp.
He does.
Are we sure? Are we sure?
I would like to address a few things here.
I don't care what it is, he or she, whatever. It's a dumbass. That's your new. It's your new.
David Hart.
David Hart. Okay.
Well, let me address a few things here. On top of Byrne's changes, why did Batman and Superman team up against a penny-ante villain like Magpie? Because that was the case that Batman was doing. Batman right away said that first of all, Batman is rougher than Superman. Superman was going to take down Batman. Batman said that if you do that, somebody will be hurt. I put a bomb on an innocent person. And the reason why they're antagonistic is because they've got different approaches. This is Superman at the beginning. This is Batman at the beginning. They are not immediate friends. The whole thing about the world's finest coming up is the fact that, yes, they learn how to work together and become friends. All right. Why make Batman and Superman? Okay, that was that one. Why make Bizarro into a Superman clone? Because this makes more sense than a big old square planet somewhere out there that just so happens to mirror Earth, except for with Bizarro people. Why make Kryptonians into Star Trek's Vulcans without Pon farr? That one I don't know. They said, okay, we're going to be logical, but it fits and it makes sense because it's a logical. He comes from a logical planet to one of emotion, and it helps the character because Superman, his biggest superpower is and always will be to do the right thing all the time.
It's the heart because to make them coldless and and not as they're not human. Humans it's basically Earth first. I'm sorry.
Well, but and see once again too, there's a fundamental flaw with this whole article. They make the claim here of Byrne made so many choices that actively hurt the Superman mythos. Okay, well, first off, you've got to explain what you think the Superman mythos is, and then provide your evidence of what choices actively hurt that mythos.
Yeah, and what was it? What was it that he's trying to? What do you call it when you're trying to keep something nice, preserve?
Yeah,
from the golden age that got changed after the crisis.
I'm curious: is this written by a young person, older person who like the older person who only likes Silver Age, or is a young person who's never read these and likes the current Bendis version?
This I'm pretty sure it's kind of like Bounding in the Comics, kind of like everything else, where people can write articles, sell it to them. So I'm assuming it's somebody young.
I hope somebody
let me get some comments, and we're going to move on to number 9. Let's see, we got 10. What the ever-loving hell? This writer must be a Bendis fan. Shill. None of those changes hurt Superman. No, I'm telling you. You know what? No, I won't tell you. Clint will tell you. Yeah. Okay, my computer's going slow. I just hit it. There you go. Byrne made Superman great again, and that is the true facts right there.
Oh, I
Trusty saying bullshit. Byrne was Superman's defibrillator. Yeah, and a lot of people don't. I mean, maybe they forgot, but Superman, Batman were not selling. They were not selling very well. Alan Moore gave it a little boost at the end, but they were just not selling very well. John Byrne came in and saved it. Yeah, they weren't immediate friends because both of them were opposite. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Batman. I will say, I mean, if you do want to make the argument that, you know, Byrne brought too many Marvel sensibilities to a DC book, okay, you can make that claim.
Yeah, but I don't think that killed it.
No. What for me killed Superman was the fact that you had him. He was a god. He was pulling planets. I got so to the point where nobody took him seriously. It was no Byrne actually put a restraints on him. You're like, holy crap, this guy's
Byrne depowered him a bit. Dalton saying it emphasizes the alienness of Kryptonians and humanizes the influences of Earth. All right, let's move on to number 9, and we have Saga of the Swamp Thing, number 21. So at this point, I'm thinking this is a bullshit article that just wants to take a pot at the best of the 80s. So superhero deconstruction has become extremely popular, and it's all because of the Saga of the Swamp Thing, number 21. Writer Alan Moore and artist John Todelman and Steve Bissett. The anatomy lessons see the Sutherland Corporation pay Jason Woodrue to conduct an autopsy on the dead Swamp Thing, but Woodrue makes a discovery that changes everything. Swamp Thing isn't a man transformed into a plant, but a plant who thinks he's a man. This issue destroyed everything readers knew about Swamp Thing. Moore would spend the rest of the run rebuilding Swamp Thing from scratch, only keeping Swamp Thing's love of Abby Arcane intact. Moore invented superhero deconstruction with this comic, and it still stands among the best superhero deconstructions. So how did that ruin the character? What is your article about? He's literally saying it made Swamp Thing better. Somebody please give me another. You know what? This is what we'll do. This is obviously a bullshit entry. What is a story that destroyed a character? An actual story that destroyed a character? Because the Saga of the Swamp Thing 21 on up to probably about 60 is damn near perfect. I'm sure you have a comic book that we could talk about that has destroyed the character, because it ain't Saga of the Swamp Thing.
I don't know. Certainly, I mean, there's a few that come to mind. A lot of the most recent Carol Danvers issues, but I mean, this aside, I mean, what they're talking about is, you know, instead of the classic, the professor that gets, splashed with chemicals and runs into the swamp and, becomes, the swamp monster. Here, Moore goes into more the metaphysical in terms of, he's, it's actually a plant element.
If that were the case, then title this freaking article Things That Changed Characters. But that's not what they said. They said destroyed. This made Swamp Thing better. What we got from here on in was just better.
Yeah.
I liked Swamp Thing before. I loved Swamp Thing after.
Yeah. Well, and I want to point out too on this too, that unlike most of the modern writers that I'm sure that this person reveres, Moore built Swamp Thing back up. Yes, he deconstructed it, changed it, and then built the character back up stronger than it was before.
Right, which is part of deconstruction. Unfortunately, modern day just deconstructs. They don't build back.
Yeah, this article, my prediction is going to be this: I hate post-crisis.
I think this might be what we'll check it out. We'll check it out. Don't jump ahead.
I'm not jumping ahead. I'm just going by 9.
We got a guest. I'm pretty. Yep, he just had to jump in. All right, so this video just got 2 hours longer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dalton the Authenticator coming in. I don't know why
I didn't need to sleep tonight anyway.
There we go. What's up, my friend?
They're bashing
You'll get last word. I'll go to comments, and then we're going to go on to number 8.
They're bashing on the mystification of Swamp Thing. Let me at it. I couldn't stay silent anymore. It was just like this is killing me. Okay, but move on.
Okay, we can go. All right, let me get some.
Go ahead.
Now, the story that Tevia is talking about is Heroes in Crisis ruined Wally West.
Oh, the modern
of course,
stuff, yes. Yeah.
Wally West was taken out of the DC continuity. He came back in Rebirth, and Heroes in Crisis was just a ruination. Basically, if you want to talk about stories that ruin the characters, let's go to the Tom King bibliography and just go right on down the list. Mr. Miracle, Vision, like they have good beginnings, like I said, but the ending is so disrespectful. Booster Gold 52 says Clint when Booster gets outed for sham. Never read that one. Maranya is saying 9. It ruined Swamp Thing because it turned the usual man becoming a monster trope into on its head. Yeah, and she calls the writer a numbskull. Cartoons and comics. Okay, that one I agreed. More ruined comics with deconstruction, but didn't ruin Swamp Thing. Just any imitator like Tom King. Okay.
Here's the biggest problem.
This is like blaming Nirvana for the plain white tees. You know, it's not their fault that the rest of 90s music sucked. It's not NWA's fault that gangster rap went off the freaking rails.
And that's the biggest problem with the deconstructive wave. The biggest problem with the deconstructive wave is at first, in the first instances of it, a lot of times, not only was it really, really good, which it was, but it was also on some level necessary. The problem was it was so good and so revelatory that it ended up becoming a thing that everyone did because it made them look so very intelligent, don't you know?
All right, let's move on to number 8, the Doom Patrol number 57. Okay, Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol run is the best Doom Patrol run ever. There are many reasons for this, but the revelation of the group's Professor X Niles Calder changed the Doom Patrol forever. Doom Patrol number 57 by Morrison and artist Richard Case takes place after Calder killed Doom Patrol member Joshua Clay. Calder immobilizes Robot Man and reveals the truth about the accidents that created the Doom Patrol, leaving Cliff Steele trapped in his robot body so he could continue his plot to devastate the world. The issue not only destroys Calder in the eyes of the readers, but also takes the book's protagonist, Cliff Steele, out of action. It's a massive turning point in the Doom Patrol, leading to Morrison's final story arc in a transformative DC series. I can get behind this one. When, you know, this is this is like every time he mentioned Professor X. Obviously, there was this whole thing about Doom Patrol being an influence for the X-Men, but let's bring the X-Men up because they do this too, where it'll be like, oh, Professor X used his mental powers to make us believe in his cause. Yeah, that's a bullshit way to destroy a character.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Grant Morrison ruined it, because this was actually like Grant Morrison before he started sucking as a writer. I would say if that's the interior art, that's probably what killed Doom Patrol.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta put this in the same category as the Swamp Thing one. On some kind of paper, I get what the article is saying because it's talking about deconstruction. on the other hand, this is Grant Morrison at his most Grant Morrison, and that's not a bad thing, because his Doom Patrol is freaking amazing.
Yeah, that being said, we're specifically talking about Niles Calder becoming the villain of the Doom Patrol.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, one other thing I'll say too is, I mean, certainly I think unlike the other two, this has already since long been retconned out with, you know, Rebirth and Dawn of DC, New 52 and all that. You know, Calder's, you know, Calder back to normal for whatever you'd say that's worth.
It didn't last.
Yeah. You know, so how much can you say this really destroyed, you know, the character? Whereas as far as I know, Swamp Thing is still a plant elemental, and most of the elements of Byrne's run with Superman are still around.
Okay. Well, let's move on to number.
I agree with Maranya. Professor X was in issue 2. He was mind altered. He did the Blob. So
that is true. That is true. All right, let's move on to number 7. But my point was, of course, that he did that to the X-Men. Wonder Woman Volume 4. Yes. Yes, I'm agreeing with this one. I don't like New 52 Wonder Woman. I don't like the fact that they're rapists. I don't like the fact that now they're apparently scissoring. I don't like the fact that if she takes off her braces, she's the most powerful being in ever. Okay, Wonder Woman's long history has been more than its share, seen more than its share of retcons. Sometimes those changes have been good, but the New 52 reboot did a lot of damage to Wonder Woman by writer Brian Azzarello and artist Cliff Chiang. Reimagined Wonder Woman's legend, making her Zeus's daughter, and transforming the Amazons from peaceful society of women to savage warriors who kidnap men to impregnate themselves. When the book came out, some fans lauded these changes. However, they completely went against everything Wonder Woman and the Amazon stood for. Yep. And they haven't aged well at all. The New 52 wasn't a great time in general for Wonder Woman. The problem started with this change and extended to her romantic relationship with Superman. No. I agree.
Can we just stick the entire
New 52 Wonder Woman?
Can we just stick the entire New 52 in this category? Because I mean, some things like Constantine being in the mainline book worked, but like for every one thing in the New 52 that worked, there were like 500 that didn't, and didn't in spectacular fashion.
Sorry, Dalton. We can't include the entirety of the New 52. We have to pick one.
Right. Well, Wonder Woman sucked in the new. Anybody have anything to say? Like, oh no, that's not right.
I'm going to say that this, you know, with this being the case, I agree with Congress in passing the acts legislation.
All righty. Let's see.
I remember reading actually the first few issues of Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman run when the New 52 started after Flashpoint, and at first, I didn't love it, but I was starting to like it. But then when the reveal of her being not made from clay, but she the daughter of Zeus, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
I never read it, but I watched the animated, apparently New 52 version of it. They did the DC switched over animated to the New 52 verse, and I gotta say I did like the aggressive more. If she's more aggressive when she's fighting, I'm all for that. But the New 52 also remember this brought where we're gonna have her and Clark be an item together again.
Oh,
the Amazons straight up misunderstood.
Guys. Does anybody remember her aggressiveness, making her one of the villains of Kingdom Come? Because she was pushing towards a more violent end to everything.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Right? Yeah.
I remember that. But she eventually turned back from it in Kingdom Come. Also, if you want a more aggressive Wonder Woman, there's Artemis. Also, she's not the daughter of Zeus. That origin goes to Cassie Sandsmark.
There you go. All right. Let's see. Cartoons and Comics saying, see, that's what I begin to hate Vertigo and more adult DC New 52. The only way to go forward, it's deconstruction. No building the character. Wonder Woman was the worst treatment in the New 52. Mama's home.
Yeah. I'll briefly say to the previous one about Niles Calder of the Doom Patrol. I actually agree with that one because and not only ruined his character, but also like,
But
yeah.
the Alpha Eagle is saying Dalton is right. All the New 52 was a huge mistake. Tevi is pointing out the Teen Titans. I gotta say, I know it was Rob Liefeld drawn, but I kind of dug Hawk and Dove, and there was something else. Oh, the Monsters one, the one that used Frankenstein. I forget what. I think it was like Frankenstein Agent of something or other.
Frankenstein Agent of Shade.
Donna Troy was always a question mark. Nobody really knew what to do with Donna Troy for the last 40, 50 years. So there you go. All right, let's move on to number 6. And we have The Watchmen. Watchmen deconstructed the superhero genre completely. Written by Alan Moore with art by Dave Gibbons. The book told the story of comedian's murder. Investigating the mystery forced his former teammates Rorschach, Night Owl 2, Silk Spectre 2, and Dr. Manhattan to learn the terrible truth. Their friend Ozymandias, spoilers, had killed the comedian as part of a plot to stop an impending nuclear war. Watchmen destroys every hero in the book, taking the various tropes from legacy heroes to all-powerful heroes to street-level vigilantes to heroic gen. Okay, first of all, I gotta check. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got everything. 10 DC comics that destroyed their main characters. No, I had it right. Sorry, Watchmen can't destroy their main characters.
It created
their main characters are written the way they are. It's not like they took if Alan Moore was able to go forward with his original idea, where Ozymandias was Captain Atom, where the Owl was Blue Beetle, where you had all
Rorschach
the Charlton
was the
heroes.
question, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Well,
then
quick correction.
Hold on just a sec. Then you would have an argument that Watchmen destroyed the characters that were in the Watchmen. No, these are brand new characters that were written just the way they were supposed to be written. There's no way that this story could have actually destroyed their characters. If anybody disagrees, by all means, let me know.
No, you're absolutely right. The only universe in which this was the case would be the case when DC actually let him play with the Charlton characters. But they didn't. And for another thing, this is where I'm going to propose a tinfoil hat theory. I think that this list is not only to dump on the fans, because obviously it's doing that. I think this list is specifically going to play fast and loose with the idea of ruining and conflate it with deconstruction, so that this person can then make the argument that ruining characters is somehow sometimes good because deconstruction can sometimes work. That's my tinfoil theory. My tinfoil theory is this guy is conflating deconstruction and ruining, so he can argue that ruining things is good sometimes. Lol.
Okay, here's my take. I don't know if it's a popular one or not. I don't mind them continuing the Watchmen series. You have the before Watchmen, after Watchmen. You have the mini series that tell stories about the characters. Fine. Don't bring them into normal continuity. They don't belong in normal continuity. They're supposed to be telling stories about normal continuity, but that's just me.
Well, I'm just going to say, I mean, hell, if anything got destroyed, Tom King destroyed Rorschach.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, Alan Moore wanted Rorschach destroyed because he thought that Rorschach was the villain all along, despite the fact that he wrote him as the good guy, but, whatever.
Well, also, on a quick correction, Dr. Manhattan, he was actually the Watchman's answer to Captain Atom, and Ozymandias, he's actually Peter Cannon Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I think Anglantine just misspoke there, Dominic. I caught that too, but I'm chalking it up to him.
Wait, who was Dr. Manhattan supposed to be?
Captain Atom.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you
said Ozymandias.
Oh, yeah. I meant Dr. Manhattan.
Yep.
Obviously.
I figured that's what happened. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Number 5, Green Arrow Volume 2, 100 and 101. Green Arrow is a DC legend with decades of history behind him. However, 90s DC was all about breaking its legends in a variety of ways. Green Arrow fell victim to this trend in Green Arrow Volume 2, 100 and 101 by writer Chuck Dixon and Jim Aparo. What a freaking team right there, right?
Right? And this guy hates him.
I agree.
And Rivalfo DiMaggio, the story had Oliver Queen trying to stop a group of terrorists who planned to turn a plane into a flying bomb. Queen was forced to grab a dead man switch to stop the bomb from exploding with no hope for escape. Superman showed up, and most fans figured Superman was going to burn Oliver Queen's arm off, making him resemble the one-armed Green Arrow from Dark Knight Returns. Instead, hold on. Where the fuck are you? I'm hearing paper being shredded, and I've got, okay, he's got a receipt. I've got comic books out for the auction tomorrow, and I was like, holy shit, because I've done that where I put comics on the bed or something, and my bird goes and decides they need to be et.
Well, here I pooped that house.
Yeah, okay, from Dark Knight Returns. Instead, Oliver Queen gave up his life to destroy the bomb before it hits its target. Queen was replaced by Connor Hawke and stayed dead until 2001. That's not so much, actually, I mean, Green Arrow pays the ultimate sacrifice. How's that destroy? I mean, other than actually killing him off, how's that destroy the character?
I think this guy hates everything we love and loves everything we hate. That's the only way I can just either this is a troll like I was just describing, and he wants to make the argument that ruining characters is good because ruining is synonymous with deconstruction, or he just hates everything we love. Maybe possible both can be simultaneously true, though. I'm
maybe he's
leaning
trying to
towards that option.
Tie the whole plane with a bomb thing to 9/11 because he's triggered by that somehow. Or he hates Connor Hawke and he's a bigot.
By the way, I just had to share this one. Twiddles, Dollarbook, nah, big dog, shred.
Yeah. I mean, once again, he misses the complete point of his article. I mean, the only way this would have been something that destroyed the character was if, when Queen came back in 2001, that Green Arrow was a completely different, radically different character than he was before he died. But you don't have that here, and that's not the case.
It's funny. There is an actual Green Arrow story that does kind of ruin the character. If anyone remembers, what is it? Cry for Arsenal?
No, Cry for Justice.
Cry for Justice, yeah. It was Arsenal's Tale. It really destroyed that character, but it was not good.
I think this guy hates legacy characters. I think he's upset that Oliver was not with Dinah.
We would all be, by the way. That destroyed him by literally killing him, says Clint. Not even close to the same thing. Exactly. He just wanted to get at Chuck Dixon. Maybe that's it. They don't like Chuck Dixon or Jim Aparo. Two of the greatest comic book creators of all time. And this would have been better if it had been done to Oliver Queen from Dark Knight Returns. All righty. Let's see. Jim saying, I actually liked Connor Hawke better than Ollie at the time. The Ollie stories were good, but I felt they were missing something. Let's see. The only way Green Arrow's Maranya was destroyed is if it negates Longbow Hunters, which, by the way, is the longest running effect of any of those stories. All the changes in Longbow Hunters are still around, which you cannot say for Death of Superman, Batman Nightfall, or Hawk World at the time, or even Wonder Woman with Artemis and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's move on to number 4. All right, Green Lantern, Emerald Twilight. I'm going to read it, and I kind of agree with this a little bit. Hal Jordan's fall from grace shocked fans in 1994. Green Lantern, Emerald Twilight by writer Ron Mars and artist Daryl Banks. Picked up with Jordan after destruction of Coast City. Hal went to the Guardians of the Universe for help, but they told him their power couldn't restore the dead. In his quest to restore the city he'd protected, he started going after his fellow Green Lanterns, stealing their rings in order to gain the power to rebuild his lost home. He eventually gained the power to destroy the Guardians and become Parallax. Ganthet, the last Guardian, gave the final Green Lantern ring to Kyle Rayner. Rayner was able to defeat Jordan and become the universe's only Green Lantern. Jordan remained a villain for several years. Some fans were so angry about it, they literally started their own organization to try to get DC to bring Jordan back as Green Lantern, which wouldn't happen until Rebirth. Okay, I never wanted Green Lantern to come back because what he did in this story is you can't come back from. I agree. When I read Rebirth, I completely agreed with Batman. How
It's a
are
villain
you
its
guys?
turn, period. Yeah.
How are you after all the shit he did? So this story actually did destroy Green Lantern. You either keep him Hal Jordan. I mean, you either keep him a villain, or you kill him off. Like at the end of Final Night should have been the last time we saw Hal Jordan. Unfortunately, they made him the Spectre. Going ahead, Venk.
Are they going to bring up what destroyed the Flash comics by bringing Barry back to life?
Well, let's not jump ahead.
I don't know. I'm not jumping ahead. I'm asking a question because it's just those.
I think this guy just hates when comic book characters are taken, like superheroes are taken seriously in any way. That seems to be the running theme.
But I want Tom Brady to dress up as Green Lantern and have all his champion rings on his fingers.
There you go. Come on over. Let's see. Green Arrow not having a movie. It's pure BS from Warner Discovery. You know who else? Batgirl. Let's see. Green Lantern Emerald Twilight was just bad garbage, says Tevia. That Green Lantern cover is one of the... I will not argue with that. It's a great cover.
Without this character, this Parallax character, you wouldn't have had a great Green Arrow issue this past week.
Ahsoka saying it ruined the character, but also it did give enough reasoning why he did it. But Hal Jordan was possessed by a yellow space, but that was a horrible, horrible idea. Sorry, Jeff Johns can do wrong, obviously, but I usually like his stuff, but that was just bull crap.
I like the Lantern entities. Leave the Lantern entities alone.
All right. Let's. Go on ahead, Dominic. Then we're going to move on to number 3.
I was gonna say that I agree to an extent that Emerald Twilight did ruin Hal's character, and when you brought up Rebirth, I was like, and on one hand, it is a very memorable series that brought back Hal. However, it created a double-edged sword effect because it was similar to what happened when they brought back Barry. Kyle's significance in the DC universe was greatly reduced. And it's a shame. Really, because Kyle, he really came into his own as a new Green Lantern.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is. It's a magic. There we go. Here you go, Venk. The Flash Rebirth by writer Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver. They brought Barry Allen back to prominence after his return to life in Final Crisis number 2. This story pit him against the newly returned Reverse Flash, who had been killing speedsters with his newly gained negative Speed Force powers. With the help of the rest of the Flash family, Barry was able to defeat the Reverse Flash and become the main Flash again. The problem with this book is that it destroyed everything people used to like about Barry. Gone was the dorky science dad of Silver Age. Instead, this Barry was basically just a cop stereotype. It also made Barry the engine of the Speed Force in order to make him more important than Wally West. Fans who were excited by Barry coming back learned quickly that the hero they wanted wasn't going to show up anytime soon. I don't know if I wanted Sci-Fi Geek, but the reason, for me, how this story destroyed the Flash was that for the last 20 years, Wally West was the Flash. To me, Barry was a better martyr than he was a character.
Same with Hal.
Anybody else want to take it?
Yeah. I said these characters had excellent deaths. In bringing them back, it just created all problems because now
it prevents lasting consequences. Is the problem?
Yeah, not just that. It's just the fact that the writers today don't know how to write these characters now because crap. Look at the Green Lanterns. There's so many of them. And they don't know how to keep track of what's going on with them because there's no continuity anymore. There's no Mark Greenwald's editing. It's just become it's just a mess.
Well, it's a similar thing to what happened to Dr. Fate after Days of Vengeance. I honestly think, as much as it would pain me, having Dr. Fate no longer be a character after Days of Vengeance, when Nabu and Kent both died fighting the Spectre, and winning, but that's beside the point.
I mean, look at the 1998 JSA. They killed off Jared Stevens in the first 5 minutes. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Jared
But
Stevens.
remembering that character.
Look, we're not we're not going to derail this, but the point is, someone to Green Lantern Rebirth, it left a negative side effect in the long run for both Barry and Wally, because as Englishine said, like for 20 years, like we had Wally continuing where his uncle left off, but also carrying on his own legacy. But because of John's and EVS bringing Barry back, so what happened to Kyle? His role in DC Universe got reduced.
Yeah, he's never returned, really. I mean, he's been here or there, but he does not have the impact. I mean, he was Green Lantern for 10 years. He was for 10 years. But what's worse is they brought back Hal Jordan when at the same time kids are learning who Green Lantern is from the Justice League cartoon, and he is neither Kyle or Hal Jordan. So,
well, I mean, Kyle, we did see him in the DC animated universe through Superman, the animated series.
Once, twice, 3 times.
I couldn't tell you honestly.
And the Superman cartoon, that was Wally, it wasn't Barry.
Yes.
They raised.
Okay, I thought it was Barry.
Yeah, that was Wally. No, that was Wally.
Wally was the Flash through the entirety of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So yeah.
Okay.
Super Friends
let's see.
didn't have Barry.
But we all know why. We all know why Flash Rebirth had to happen, because Green Lantern Rebirth was successful. All right, let's move on to number 2, which is Batman Nightfall ruined Batman. Okay, so Batman Nightfall got pretty dark.
Really?
But that was the point of the story. After the success of Death of Superman, DC decided to try a similar story with Batman. However, instead of killing him, they had Bane break him, which is a bigger torture for Batman. Bane had broken open Arkham Asylum, running Batman ragged as he tried to recapture his foes. Bane was able to take advantage of Batman's fatigue, getting the better of him in battle and breaking his back. Azrael steps in as Batman and was able to defeat Bane after modifying Bruce Wayne's equipment. Nightfall succeeded in the short term, although fans got tired of Azrael as Batman rather quickly. That was the fucking point. Bruce Wayne returned to Azrael. Bruce Wayne was returned to defeat Azrael, and after Dick Grayson took over as Batman for a short time, Bruce became Batman again. Okay, the point of Nightfall is to show that nobody else can be Batman but Bruce. Even when Nightwing came in, he was not the same as Bruce Wayne. No, that's where modern day comics fail, because they're like, hey, Batman Incorporated, anybody with $10 to buy a franchise.
The character is interchangeable from the powers of the costume.
Dang it. So I have to get rid of these then? I can't have these anymore? I just bought these.
Those are awesome. It's actually a good story. This guy just doesn't understand them.
Yeah,
well,
also,
I've got the series. Also, it's pretty good.
But another factor of Nightfall is what this guy misses the point on. What Chuck Dixon, Danny O'Neill, and the others who have created Nightfall, it served as a response to the rise of the dark, edgy heroes, and as well as anti-heroes of the time.
Okay, now you guys know what has to be number 1, right?
Didn't a similar thing happen with Death of Superman?
There
was a gap between the death and rebirth of Superman where
so you could show
tried to fill the void and they failed.
That there's only one true Superman.
Anybody
want to guess what number 1's going to be?
Can I?
Yeah, go on, RDB.
I want to say it's Batman Year 1.
Okay.
All I'm saying is if this guy dumps on Superman on Sandman, I'm going to kill him.
Nope.
Oh, sorry, we have
Superman's death. Number 1, Death of Superman. Superman's death is a major milestone for the character. Death of Superman ran through all the Superman books of 1992, as well as Justice League of America. When the monster Doomsday began a destructive rampage, Superman could not stop him. Doomsday tore through the Justice League and everything in his way, finally making his way to Metropolis. Superman in hot pursuit. The two had a knockdown, drag out, and killed each other in front of the Daily Planet. Superman saved the day, giving his all to protect his friends and loved ones. The story was a huge sales success and led to the Reign of Superman story that had 4 Superman replacements trying to take over for the Man of Steel. The success of the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman spurred DC to break more of their icons. Okay, so how does it destroy Superman? It doesn't.
Even after
the whole point of the story, just like Batman Nightfall, is to show off that nobody else can be Superman. Superman it's not the fact that he has the superpowers. It's the fact that he's Clark Kent, that he will always do the right thing. Same with Bruce Wayne. It's not that he can flip around and do high kicks. It's the fact that he is unstoppable. There is a scene in Nightfall where Batman's already run ragged and he has to go save somebody in a tunnel, and he swims and holds his breath beyond what normal people could do just so he could make sure that these people would survive, and he gives them the oxygen and he swims out. And that's when he goes back to the house and he's absolutely exhausted. And that's the point of these. They didn't destroy the character of Superman with Death of Superman.
So
sorry,
for 30 years, 30 freaking years, Byrne's version of Superman lasted because fans loved it. And then you get Jeff Johns and say, you know what? Let's tell stories all about the Kryptonians that no one gives a shit about, because he's the last son of Krypton. Why were we still going to bring in? Guess what? He's no longer
not to mention they always overemphasize the Kryptonian and never remember the kids from small town Kansas. Like
Jeff Lowe brought in Supergirl because they wanted to have their own version of Supergirl back in the main universe. Matrix was fine. I didn't need anything else.
With the Crisis, they wanted to make sure that Superman was the lone Krypton, because in the pre-Crisis, Kryptonians were popping up all over the place.
Yeah, bottles for the Candor.
And you had the Green Lantern ring rainbow of kryptonite, so they wanted to just, okay, now it's green. Of course, they fucked that up. Let's get some comments here. Death of Superman was a good story. Yeah, I thought so too. And when I say Death of Superman, I actually mean death, funeral, reign, and return. Yeah, I mean the whole thing.
The actual storyline, not just the
Because in all honesty, that first fight, the battle with Doomsday, it's okay, but there's no real story to it. There's no real the whole point of Doomsday was that every character, that all the famous Superman villains weren't able to destroy him, so they wanted to bring something in that was new, and they created Doomsday.
To me, it's a shock because especially if I would have been reading this as it came out, I would have been just like, holy crap.
What happens when the unstoppable person is stopped, basically?
The most powerful being or superhero who's always been to struggle this is suddenly just killed, and especially if you follow him from Byrne's start going through how he went through all these different trials and tribulations, only to he finally got married to Lois, then to die.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
LK, you have anything to say? You kind of been quiet.
Well, I mean, again, you kind of glanced over it, but I mean, this shows there are no editors left at CBR. I mean, it's CBR. whether this guy is on staff, which at this point I highly doubt, and is more of a freelancer and said, "Hey, I have this article idea." A good editor would take a look at it and go, "Okay, well, you've got an interesting title here and premise, but the problem is you're listing a bunch of stuff and not explaining why you think this is character destroying, or how it just specifically it destroyed the character." And this number one is the perfect point. He lists a bunch of stuff that happened to Superman, and he throws in one line at the end that, this spurred on to break more icons. Well, killing a character is not the same as destroying the character in the sense of the character being destroyed.
Tom King.
Well, I think I can explain the format here a little bit, and it goes back to a level of intellectual entitlement that all these journalists, in air quotes, have. They think that they should just be able to state things and have people automatically agree with them. In this guy's mind, I can almost guarantee to you, he doesn't understand why anyone wouldn't find what he's describing as a ruination. He can't understand how a character can die like get severely injured, like in Nightfall or Death of Superman, and not be ruined. But something like Tom Taylor, or to use a Marvel example, Secret Empire, can ruin a character even though the character doesn't die.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But again, as I'll state, the lack of an editor here is painfully obvious, because an editor should have gone, okay, death doesn't equal destruction. Explain yourself.
So
I do agree with Dante Black, who was saying it was kind of stupid of Batman to give a brainwashed, insane guy the cape and cowl. Tom King was born with protracted. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree with Undead. John Kent was not ruined. We did not know his sexuality. Tim Drake, on the other hand, so I've got something. Okay, we'll let Venkman and then Dalton speak their piece, and then we're going to move on.
Well, now it's two things, because you said the John King thing. That was Con King and turned him into an activist. I don't care about sexuality. He did it as a virtue signal.
Okay, there you go.
But the number one thing I was going to talk about is that we should just do our own list of 10 characters are destroyed.
I was about to say that. That was going to be my moving on, which would be okay. We'll start. It sounds like you got something to say, like you're all ready to go, Dalton. Give me a story that destroyed a character, actually destroyed the character, didn't kill him off, didn't deconstruct, but just absolutely destroyed the character itself. What do you have in mind?
You want me to go for? I
thought you were all ready to go. Okay,
no, I was going to respond to the John Kent thing, but okay,
go on ahead,
fine.
And then we'll move on to it.
What I was going to say is, it wasn't him being gay that was the problem. It was how he was written that was the problem. If he were just a gay character that had a three-dimensional life to him and had, trials and tribulations of being a three-dimensional character, and to Venkman's point, wasn't a transparent, we need this LGBT character to support Antifa and all the rest of it. Or if he did, and that was framed properly as a villainous sort of Zuko style arc, where he had to screw up and then redeem himself, that could have worked. But as it stands, it didn't. To your point, I would say, and I alluded to this earlier, everything after Day of Vengeance, after Naboo and Kent died, ruined Dr. Fate, because that was when the possession retcon started, and that massively ruined the character. That was when basically anyone could just plop the helmet on, and it didn't matter the connection to Naboo. It didn't matter whether the person even knew magic or not previously or not. It was just, whoop, he just needs a meat suit. He just needs a warm body to possess. Whoops.
That was also done for the Young Justice cartoon as well.
Oh, and everybody.
Yeah, because that was new. It's based on the New 52, and the New 52 ran with that, is why.
In the chat, you're welcome to put your stories that killed the character as well or destroyed. What do you have, RDV?
I was going to say the New 52 was Superman #1. By racing everything, starting over, Superman's never fully recovered back to being who he was with the burn, epic storytelling.
Yeah. Okay. I do have to say, though, he had a great shining moment in the DC Rebirth with Jurgens and Tomasi. That was the closest you're going to get to anything like this when post-crisis. Mm-hmm. But with Grant Morrison writing him, he's like, oh, I wanted to take it back to the activist roots. I can't do his accent.
But Bendis, having him reveal his identity to the world, and I'm Superman.
That was so stupid. So freaking stupid. No worries, Dominic. Take care, man.
I've already said Tom King with Heroes in Crisis ruining Wally.
Yeah. We also have the Journey of John post the Brian Michael Bendis writing. I guess that would be, what would that be? Superman Man of Steel was the miniseries that got John Kent out of the house. Yeah.
Leah Williams writing Power Girl.
Right now.
Well, not that's starting now, but maybe even before, when she was in the actual comics or stories.
Yeah.
They rebooted the
Witching Hour ruined not just a character, but the entire DC mystical cosmology. I freaking hate witching out.
Tom Taylor changing Nightwing's character. He made him a communist. Oh, I got all this money, so I'm going to fund the city forever. No, you're going to fund the city for about, and you're broke. You know, that's the way it works.
Maranya is bringing out her own Marvel Civil War. Rude a lot of characters.
Yeah, that one most definitely. I hate the fact that it was like Captain America. We got this bad law, so let me go punch Iron Man to change.
Well,
it.
if we're talking about Marvel, then
that's Marvel. But hold on, we're talking about DC. Let's not get derailed. LK, do you have a DC story that ruined a DC character?
Well, I mean, a lot of the main ones I think have already been taken. Definitely, I mean, Heroes Crisis. You know, with what happened with Wally. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Certainly of the main. Let's see, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash. I don't know. I don't think Hawkman's been destroyed yet.
Oh,
but I mean, you could definitely say right now. I mean, the Hawk
Woman, yeah,
the Hawk Girl, or AKA Galaxy series going on by Jadzia Axelrod. I mean,
yeah,
that is not. That's not
RDB.
Girl.
Before you get your second, I'm gonna toss out my first.
Go ahead.
And it's the one that bothers me. And I don't know which one is ruined worse, but turning Harley Quinn from the Joker's girlfriend into whatever she is during the New 52, Poison Ivy's girlfriend, ruined two characters. I truly believe that Harley Quinn has some great stories in it, being Joker's ex-girlfriend, but more than Poison Ivy's girlfriend. And Poison Ivy, they don't know what to do with her. Is she a villain? Is she not a villain? What's going on with this character? Both of them have been completely derailed. Both of them have been overly sexualized. Neither one of them seems either super villainous or super heroic. They're just there to make lesbian jokes. It's ridiculous.
In fairness, that did start at least a little bit with the animated series, them doing the Thelma.
They were just
thing.
friends, and they liked to commit crimes. They were still criminals.
But Bruce Timm was trying to push towards the end in the New Ventures.
Along the way, they just fucked up the characters, because instead of them having criminal friends doing bad things, they decided they were going to make them lovers and maybe heroes, maybe not heroes. I don't know. But and as bad as they fucked up Harley Quinn, they truly fucked up Poison Ivy.
And once again, the biggest problem there is the writing. It's not even the premise. The premise could have worked if they had written them right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised no one in the chat's brought this up. But I mean, maybe I'm just a simp for this character, but Teenie Howard ruining Catwoman for me.
Okay.
Made her a lesbian. Or
Yep.
much, yeah. Or bisexual, I guess. Whatever. She's basically I love Bruce, but I want to fuck this other guy and tell Bruce about it.
Bi never sticks in the comics, and it's one of the biggest things that annoys me as someone who is, bi is. It would make so much more sense if you just went, I'm attracted to the gender I was previously attracted to, and also the other one now. But instead, it's always, I flip the switch, and now I'm attracted to the other gender, and I will never be attracted to the previous one again, for some reason.
I'm trying to think what other DC characters. I mean,
let me get some comments here, because there's a lot of stuff here. Let's see. Turning Harley Quinn into Deadpool from Clint, which, okay, I agree with that too. One Star Squadron ruined every character in it, even the heckler. And I agree on that. It was a character assassination, and they basically took the All-Star Squadron. Did you hear news Superboy is going to be written by Mags?
Oh.
Now, when you say Superboy, I think John Kent. I think they mean Connor.
Well, yeah, no, Eric talked about this in terms of, I think, in the latest Action Comics or whatever, that Mags with Sasha had a story with Connor Kent, but I'm not aware that it's turning into a new gig. As far as I know, it was just a one shot.
Well, if it's the book that he was in, that's actually not bad. What do you have to say, RDV?
Well, I was just going to say that, that Breen had read that. He said that Megs actually had one of the better books. The worst story in there was Phil Kennedy Johnson's Superman in Action Comics. That was the worst story out of all of them.
Okay.
But I was going to say there was another character that was just recently ruined too.
Yeah. Well,
Mar-
Jonah Hex.
Oh, I was going to say Maranya's going to kill us if we don't mention Megan Fitzmartin ruined Tim Drake.
Well, yeah, that was the first thing out of the gates. But, also, was that All-Star Western in 52, ruining Jonah Hex and killing any love for him.
All-Star Western New 52 was awesome, dude. There is a debate here.
Where's the original?
Well, come on. Compare any New 52 to post-crisis or pre-crisis as far as Jonah's concerned.
What did I say? Can we not just scratch off pretty much everything in the New 52 as part of the ruining of characters, please?
Turning Vixen into a lesbian using giraffe tongue, it was unnecessary.
There is supposed.
Cecil Castellucci fucking up the female Furies.
Yep.
An awesome and terrible group all of a sudden doing baking contests and bikini contests for Darkseid. That right there, that's a top 5. That's a top 5er.
Well,
why did you remind me that exists? Now I have to remember it.
Yeah, I mean, the only hesitation I'll say in that is, has that version of the Furies carried on?
Of course not. But the thing is, of course not. Just the fact that it's there. What they didn't put that out as a novelty comic.
Elseworlds or something.
Then be waved away as an Elseworlds that, I mean, because if you're going to go that route, then of course we can go back. Unless, I mean, somebody mentioned what Tom King did to Justice League International.
Asbar.
In his Human Target series.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically wrecked every single character that was in Justice League International, and of course, the end has Ice freezing Guy Gardner and
I heard that
Human Target punching him into 1,000 pieces.
Right. But apparently I heard that there was at the end of that he actually didn't die. That wasn't even Guy. It was something else.
Okay. Let me get a few more comments here. Let's see. Jim has said another Tom King Booster Gold in his gift story. Yeah, the one where he fucked up Batman's past or something along those lines. I remember that. I mentioned 2 authors, the higher character destruction counts above, namely Tom King and Bendis. Yep. Let's see. Damn, you're right. That was a big one. Yep. I got one Vertigo doing Ghost Tank. I did not read that version of the haunted tank is what it was.
What happened to Batgirl? That was another one.
What do you mean?
Don't you remember Batgirl number 50 towards the end there?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Well, that was the kind of the run that messed up Batgirl, which I'm telling you, the Gail Simone really nailed Batgirl in the New 52, but the Rebirth was not very good. There was one story where they fought social justice warriors. I thought that was kind of weird. How we forget the female Furies are once the most fearless, cool assassins. I'm DC. Alrighty. Ghost Tank, Haunted Tank was awful. Yeah.
Tevye makes a point about Ultimatum. Yes,
Tevye, that's a whole other video. Actually, we could probably just talk about Ultimatum and all the.
Well, I was going to throw out one more name.
Okay, go ahead.
I think honorable mention to Andy Corey, who actually destroyed not just a comic book but an entire comic book imprint.
Dishonorable mention, you mean?
Sure, dishonorable mention. He was the one that was the last Vertigo editor.
Yeah,
and single-handedly destroyed that line by bringing in a bunch of SJWs, and with the topper bringing in Ms. Five Guys herself, Zoe Quinn, for
I gotta tell you something. Borderland, I did a video of Borderland and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And I got to admit, I kind of liked Hex Wives, but at the same time, there was this book that came out and I kind of compared them and goes, no, this one's written not all that great. And that was Hex Wives. And then there was just one, it was Somebody Goes to Hell. And it was about this blonde girl that was in hell with a buzzsaw. I thought, okay, this is the way you do this whole mystical tough woman
Oh.
thing. I just forgot about it. But
Neil
yeah.
Gaiman keeps ruining his best work every time he brings something new to the Sandman
What
reboot.
was the first Constantine comic book after Vertigo ended? Because I feel like there's a definite line between the Vertigo.
oh well, that would be the New 52.
Yeah, the New 52.
Okay. Because
Hellblazer before New 52 was awesome. Hellblazer after 52
was that the New 52 where they decided to focusing on him dating a black man?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just
No,
he
it's
is
the whole
no longer a mystical arts fighter kind of guy in any continuity. He's just gay.
That was I remember that because there was it was right after when he joined the Matt Ryan joined the CW. That's when they launched the Constantine book, and I remember it went for like I don't remember if it was Side Spirit, but the whole focus was on him just dating this black guy who had a kid. And
everything after the original run of Hellblazer slowly but steadily ruined Constantine. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for the super chat from Rhaegar saying women get done dirty by women in comics and turn gay, men get done dirty and stay straight. See something's going.
But you can even say before New 52.
Thank you very much for the super chat, but he is right. Women cannot write women in comic books.
You can go back to the even in Vertigo, you go to the Phil Jenkins when he took over for Hellblazer. A lot of people hated his run because it focused more on historical stuff and it ignored kind of what Garth Ennis had done prior to that.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember Phil on. Then again, I get off of
Paul
the
Jenkins,
original Hellblazer after about volume 7 was where I was like, nope, no more.
Did I say Phil? I meant Paul Jenkins.
Oh, well, yeah, Paul.
90s,
I don't remember
it was the 90s.
Oh, that would explain it. Like I say, I follow the original run of Hellblazer up until about volume 7, based on how the trades break it up, and then after that, I'm like, yeah, and that's the end of my interest.
I also like
so that might be why.
Horrible Spider-Man run, which ruined my girl Mayday.
Oh, Renew Your Vows.
Can we talk about One More Day yet?
No,
I've been waiting for Venkman to do that.
I will not give you that pleasure.
Okay.
Super chat.
We can have a series. We can have a series of what DC forgot that was cooler than 90% of Marvel, and even when they try to revive, they ruin. Could be How to Ruin Everything.
To me, I honestly, people bring. I was gonna say, people always bring up what's ruined Spider-Man? One More Day. No, it was Civil War. Him unmasking. That's what ruined Spider-Man because his identity was out public. Now there's no way he was going to be able to hide his identity. And it took just a whole complete snowball, avalanche of just shit happening. The only thing that could come out of that when after he revealed his identity in Civil War was the fact that he got to punch basically Wilson Fisk as Peter Parker and beat him up. That was the only thing good came from that run. But
World War Hulk ruined Doctor Strange. The character has not come back in his full glory since then, and that was when the trend of, well, he screwed something up, so the Vishanti took all of his powers away thing happened. And of course, I like Brother Voodoo as a character, but as a stand-in for Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme, he is not, and there's no reason he should be calling himself Dr. Voodoo, even if he is an actual doctor.
Right now, there's two Doctor Strange in the case book. There's a General Strange who's been fighting for the Vishanti War for the past 10,000 years. He just came back.
Oh, they actually retconned the war back into continuity. Good. Okay. Yeah.
So there's that version where he's basically wants to continue the war because the Vishanti agreed to a peace. He's like, I lost I give up my whole entire life. So that when they killed off Doctor Strange currently in the Marvel Universe, that allowed that version to personality escape. So now there's two Doctor Stranges, a General Strange and then the current Doctor Strange.
Okay, I don't actually hate that because they did never follow up on the war he was involved with that I can't even remember the name of at this point.
I thought it was a made-up thing, but apparently that's real. That's kind of cool.
No. It was a thing for like most of the 80s and 90s. He was involved in a mystical war that they just plumb forgot about 5 minutes later.
Yeah, but
all right.
I'm trying to think.
You got one more thing to say? Because I'm gonna close this up here.
Oh, you're gonna close it up? Oh,
I am. It's midnight. We've been on for $1:40, and my wife just came home, so I'd like to go say hello. Also, I need to get the auction fixed for tomorrow.
My wife just came home. I'm grounded out streaming.
I'm gonna have two. Well, oh yeah, if you want to keep going.
No.
Don't go-
It sounds like you're saying like my wife just came out. Like you're grounded and you're sneaky, but online.
No,
not
no,
supposed
no.
to.
I actually like my wife. I like to spend time, but I also have to make an auction for tomorrow. I'm gonna have two because things got all screwed up. But we're gonna have one tomorrow, which is gonna kind of fuel going to the warehouse to build an auction for Monday. I also have a whole bunch of I have a few big dog like books coming out on
Cool.
on Monday. Unfortunately, nothing came in time for tomorrow's auction, so I've got to piecemeal things. So we'll have a smaller one tomorrow and then one on Monday. Right, so please join that for 8 o'clock. If you do want to hang out and keep streaming, if you guys still want to keep going, you guys feel free to.
Well, I was going to say, just before we close up, Alpha Eagle brought up a great comment, and yeah, it's definitely worth talking about with this topic, because while it was, I still think really well written, Identity Crisis ruined a lot of characters.
I would love to go over Identity Crisis and just talk about how crappy it truly is.
You should go over the book Trinity and talk about how good that is.
Because I mean,
not to mention Countdown and
I mean, I can
everything
think
around that.
3 characters that were significantly diminished because of Identity Crisis.
But when we do, and I would love to, when we do Identity Crisis, I want to do it in bad comic beatdown style, where we're just going through. We talk about what's bad about it and what is good about it. One is going to be longer than the other.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, here and again, this is where I will say, though, for a bad comic beatdown, it's still a very well written book, and it's a good story.
With bad ideas.
What it
it's just bad.
looking decades later, what it wound up doing to Jean Loring and Zatanna and Dr. Light, among others.
I've got to push the top 10 TV shows back because, unfortunately, like I said, tomorrow's auction got a little bit derailed by none of the books coming in. So give us a little leeway on that. It will pop up at some point in time because I had a lot of fun going over. I want to hear everybody else's lists and everything. I've got my own. I actually fixed my list damn near as soon as we stopped. I went through, 1950s, what's good. I made a top 100. So
I'm still racking my brain to try to narrow it down. There are a lot of good shows.
I went well, that's what I did. I went, what are the good shows of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and there's a lot of good shows out there, guys. All righty, kids, but thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed. Please, when the video is actually on after the live stream, please go back, hit like, hit share, and leave a little comment. 5 or 6 words will do. What the heck? It'll help out the channel. It doesn't cost you much, and just a little bit of time.
Drop $1. That's a good Ko-Fi bank.
There you go. Yes, if you don't mind going over to Ko-Fi, the link is in the description below. Drop $1. There's a tip jar, or you could commission a video. I brought that back when I was looking at my my dry erase board, and I was like, holy shit, I've done the videos, except for a book called Banjax, which I'm having a hard time finding. So by all means, kids, you could do that too. You could commission a video over on Ko-Fi. Thank everybody who's actually done that, and thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.